Hello beautiful soul, and welcome to Manifest with me, Rebecca G. I'm your manifestation, meditation and mindset coach who blends equal measures of soul, strategy and a little sprinkle of science on the side. Consider me your modern day pink witch with my spiritual toolbox packed full of ideas to energize and inspire you and to put the action into the law of attraction. Let this podcast be your weekly fix because, my beautiful soul, it is time to turn your vision board into a reality. Hello beautiful souls, this is so exciting, right? I have bought a desk that I can lift up. So it's basically on my desk, I've got another mini desk and I touch a lever and my computer rises all the way up. So I now have a standing desk. I have wanted this for so long because I feel when I'm sitting, I can't move my hands around and I haven't got as much energy. So I am so excited about this. I mean, I was just checking my emails, stood up and listening to music, and it's amazing actually how much more energy you have when you stand up, which we know about anyway. So what are we talking about today? I want to talk about being as light as a feather. That's the title, but it's nothing about being as light as a feather. It's actually about feathers, about nudges from the universe. And are you someone that maybe sees signs? If you've been watching TikTok, if you've seen my TikTok series about the signs, I had so much interest in it that I thought I would make it into a podcast because there was so much interaction and so many of you messaging saying, I see this number and I see that number and I see all these signs all the time. And I will do, after this one, I will do one specifically on the numbers. But today I want to talk about the signs because if you follow me on Instagram, I quite often post when I see a white feather. And then I seem to have this beautiful following of people that do the same. Like you have that as your spiritual sign. And I think with our constant exposure at the moment to digital news, social media, a lot of people have lost that valuable skill that we have, which our ancestors had. And that was gathering information firsthand from all of our surroundings, from nature. And we've kind of lost the ability to perceive that deep kind of connection between us and the natural world. And that is just really how nature is living, thriving, going through cycles, and it's alive and it genuinely communicates with you when you learn to see the wood through the trees, so to speak. So in this really fast-paced world that we live in, and I definitely live in, signs have really been divorced from their significance quite a lot. And nature is always just this way of communicating with us. And it often feels to me like these signs, these omens, they occur when we're needing a message or just to let us know that we're on the right track as well. And indigenous traditions understood that as, this working, being in harmony was like this flow and this web of life. And if you go to the science side and look at the science side in physics, it's known as the unified field. So these spiritual signs and these omens, they present themselves to us, can be daily or it can be once in a blue moon. And it's definitely when you're on your spiritual journey, and especially when you're having any sort of awakening or you're really working on yourself. And I find it's like little tiny breadcrumbs to follow. And we can definitely learn how to trace this wisdom that we're seeing in front of us and unfolding. And it's definitely like a little subtle guidance as well. So the result of this is just an increased understanding of ourselves and this more interconnectedness as well, and more self-awareness. And over the last few years, I've definitely been finding new ways to connect with the world around me and also paying more close attention to the signs and omens and animals and signs that I see. And then Google is great, by the way, for looking up what they mean. But I just wanted to cover my big one today because when we see through these clear eyes that are rooted in this present moment, we can realise that we're not on our own. So if you're someone that is on your own and you're single or you're feeling alone, you are never on your own because life will send you signs, messages, omens every day if you're asking for it, just to let you know. And it's just that many of us don't have those eyes open to see it. So we can get lost in our lives, our chaotic, blurry lives as they can become, can't they? And we can just wander through life and not being present. So I try to start each day getting grounded. I definitely use sage for this, or crystals and incense. I like to do that to keep my mind wandering. I start every day by becoming really grounded. And even when I'm meditating, I picture my feet like going down into the earth, like the roots going down into the earth. And that's just something that I do just to connect each day. Even now, as I'm talking to you, I've got bare feet. I always walk around barefoot all the time. But that way of grounding is really, really common. But seeing signs often comes for me when I'm asking for something, I'm working on myself, or when I know I'm really in tune, I'm vibing with the universe. So what is the spiritual meaning of white feathers? It's such a common one, and one of the most common signs that appear from the spiritual realm are white feathers. And many people ask me, always on TikTok or Instagram, what's the meaning? What does it mean when you see this feather? And because I keep seeing them everywhere now. White feathers are just a really powerful sign from the universe. So if they're showing up in your life, pay really close attention to the message they're giving you. And there's different meanings around different feathers, and I'm going to go through that as well. So the actual spiritual meaning of a white feather often appears in your life when either your spiritual desires or your requests are being answered. So white feathers will show up in your life after a time of maybe disappointment and grief. It can happen from that. But there's also a time when they will appear when you need encouragement, and just the universe is almost like giving you a little wink and a nudge and saying you're on the right path. And many people also report feeling a presence of angels when they're near white feathers as well. I definitely feel very connected to spirit when I see them, and it can be a way that angels are communicating with you if you believe in that as well. So depending on where you find white feathers and the emotions that you're feeling when you find them, white feathers have often got different meanings to you personally as well. And what I'm going to do today is help you go over kind of just a bit of what the meaning is of the spiritual symbol. So let's look at the history first, because as you know, I freaking love history, and white feathers have a really long history of being the kind of reverend signs of the spiritual realm. So if you were to find a white feather, then it was to let you know that you weren't alone, and white is the colour of the crown chakra. So in the language of energy, it's associated with the divine connection and the gateway to accessing and understanding your higher self or higher dimensions. So if you're finding a lot of white feathers, this is a sign that, the messages that are being communicated are regarding your spiritual relationship to yourself and also the world around you. In native cultures in America, feathers had this huge significance. They were a representation of being in this higher realm, much more higher wisdom, peace, the end of something and the beginning of something new. So often they would see them after death, and it was a positive as well. So in a sign of purity, it's also a sign of a big spiritual connection and progression as well. In shamanism, white feathers are used to cleanse energy of objects, of people. I use my white feathers when I'm having my sage, and I just use my white feather to sage the smoke around my house. I always do that. And white feathers often represent purity as well. So they carry this kind of vibration that transmutes any negative energy or any unwanted energy back to universe. So it's like, get out. I do not need this energy near me. I've also got a beautiful brown peacock feather that I use sometimes, but if I'm in a real can't shift this energy kind of mood, then I definitely use my white feather. If you buy one of my moon boxes, you get a white feather with a little bit of sparkle on there. They're really cute. But it's also a symbol around Christian faith as well. So if you're religious, then you might know this. It's obviously seen as the receiving of gifts of a white feather is the sign that your angels are nearby, and it's often soft nudges of encouragement and love. But to Christians, they represent hope, new beginnings, trust, and inner strength as well. So because feathers obviously come from birds are associated with this higher knowledge, bringing wisdom from heaven to earth, so that we have this access to its gifts and its knowledge. And birds are associated with the element of air. So that's another positive sign for any kind of mental pursuits regarding spiritual growth, meaning any kind of attainment of inner truth, higher knowledge, and just the mysteries of the universe unfolding in front of you. So these feathers that were seen from birds, if they float down in front of you, have you had this happen I have this happen all the time when I'm out walking. They float down in front of me, or they land on my car in front of me when I'm in a traffic jam. So when they're seen to be falling down slowly in sort of random motion like that, but they fall exactly in front of you as you're meant to see them, this represents this kind of feeling that everything is unfolding, just to calm down and slow down, so that if you've seen it happen when these feathers really gently fall down in front of you, you'll know that feeling. You're like, oh wow, it literally makes you go, oh, and that's kind of the message behind it as well. And if they appear completely out of nowhere and you just you see them, like I just said, on the walk, because it could be on the walk as well, it's also some time to go within and do some self-reflection and ask yourself, what do you need to do to slow down? What do you need to do to bring you joy? And where do you need your more spiritual fulfillment? So where do you need to fill your cup a little bit more spiritually? And One more thing it can also mean is it's to just catch your attention. So they appear out of nowhere or as a surprise to just catch your attention. Like I've had it before where I've been on my mobile phone up in the woods and then I look up and there's a feather and I'm like, oh, how beautiful. And then I'm back on my phone and I see another one. I'm like, okay. And when I look this up, it was like, it's actually a time to wake up and just be a bit more connected as well. So if you notice any white feathers appearing to you frequently, so you see them all the time, that is a time to do some inner reflection on your spiritual goals. So you're being asked to be brutally honest with yourself and then look at your goals, see if you need to, call in some inner wisdom, connect with your higher self and just be like, okay, what's going on here? Like, am I really happy with the way my life is going? Do I need to manifest a successful business, a partner? Do I need someone to help my business reach another level of success? Maybe it's a partnership that you're in that's causing you stress. Is there a reason why you're holding on to that stress and that person? So it's asking you to just go within and really assess your core beliefs and values here and ask, do you feel capable of doing this on your own or taking this next step, for example? I know that's happened for me when I needed to leave a particular position in a job. It wasn't a job, it was a business I needed to just let go of. I kept seeing feathers all the time. They would appear in the house, they would appear when I went on my walk, they would be landing on my car, they would land on the buggy, they would land on my son, and I was like, oh my god, I'm seeing so many white feathers, this is crazy. And really the higher message there is just to listen to your heart about what is going to happen next, and your intuition will help you with the callings of your heart. It really will. And when you go within, you ask yourself questions like that, you only ever get honest responses, like deep down. Like when people say, oh, I don't know what I want to do, or I don't know why I want to leave this job, you do. You just have to still your mind and sit and be quiet. And if you're listening to this now going, she's wrong, I don't know, you haven't sat for long enough with yourself and asked yourself those higher questions. And your intuition, the callings of your heart, it will give you the answers that you need. And sometimes you have to make these difficult decisions, such as to leave a relationship or quit the job. But the universe will always provide for you. Always, it always does. And you just have to trust into that. So if the feather floats in front of you and then suddenly whooshes away, if you've ever had that, like a leaf blowing in the wind and then you're trying to catch up with it and it just blows away from you, that's a huge sign to search within again on your values. So that's all about values as well. Like taking another reason for it as well when it's rushing away like that is that it's like a gentle nudge. Keep taking that step forward. It's like encouraging you to keep walking forward and keep grabbing after something. So you'll know what I mean if you've ever seen a feather that does this. I've done it before. I've tried to pick it up and take a picture and it's like running away with it. I'm like, this is why I came to actually looking all this up about the feathers. I'm like, there must be a meaning to this about why the feathers go and where they float. And this is where this podcast came from, because of this happened to me recently. And it's about leaning in and knowing that the next steps you're going to take, don't have any hesitation. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And also with the feather, when it does this, when it's rolling away with you, you already know the answers. So you just have to, again, sit with yourself and trust yourself and go within as well. Now, if you see feathers in your house, like I did recently, white feathers that appear in your house or on your doorstep, for example, it's a sign of protection. So many people report seeing white feathers at their home when they're thinking, oh my God, there's going to be illness, or, is there something I need to worry about? Absolutely not. It actually represents safety and security. So at the place of comfort where you can be yourself, which is often in your home, if there's stress or if there's any insecurities or if there's anything where it feels you need protection at the moment, it will show up. So it's nothing bad, it's just there to help you and guide you. And when we came to look at this house, there was a white feather on the doorstep, and we always see every now and again a white feather on our doorstep. It's so cute. That's how I knew it was the perfect house to buy. But if you believe in the angels and you do decide to communicate with them, then also white feathers at your home is a sign that they're trying to get in touch with you as well. So that could bring you a sense of peace. It might make you feel uneasy hearing stuff like that and you don't believe it. That's absolutely fine. I genuinely do. But it brings me such a huge sense of peace and calm. And I know that I haven't meditated for ages, or they're trying to give me a message. And that's when I go within, start asking questions, and I normally get heaps of, they give me loads of business ideas, which is really cool. So what does it mean when a feather appears after the loss of someone? So this happens quite a lot. These fluffy white feathers often appear in and around your home as a message from someone who's passed on as well. They're always fluffy, by the way, really look like they'd be really soft, and they can appear in really strange places like a drawer. I had this happen after my mum's brother's wife, so my auntie, she passed, she was really young, and I kept finding feathers in drawers. It was really strange, or like on the coffee table, or like on the TV that stuck to the TV. It was just so strange. And common signs that your feather is sent from a loved one who's passed is also to see the date and the time when you see the feather as well. So notice the time that you see the feather, because beings in spirit world communicate with numbers as well as objects. They can be, coming through under the times, under the, say 222, for example, is a big one for me. It's the most likely one from a loved one. So it was always at 2:22 in the afternoon, that's normally when I had my lunch, and I'd sit down between clients, and I always love a bit of Loose Women. I love watching that. And it was always like there that I would see a random feather by the TV, or it was so strange. It's not strange. Like when you get into this stuff, you start seeing it all the time. But white feathers are also a sign of good luck as well. So often seeing white feathers can appear just as your luck is about to turn. When you're in that place where maybe you're working towards something and you're like, loads of stuff is cropping up, which it does. Universe loves to throw little curveballs at you. You'll start to see white feathers, see them as good luck or a good omen. It's nothing bad. And white feathers will just raise your vibration in that moment as well. So they're there to help you or remind you to raise your vibration as well. And white feathers are more of a kind of law of attraction sign rather than just random good luck. It's like start practicing law of attraction even more, like they're coming towards you and whatever you're trying to work towards. And it's just a really positive thing. Like so many people who see white feathers that I have messaged me on Instagram or like, oh my God, does that mean someone's dying, or is it to do with death? And yes, they can show up after people have passed, but more often than not, for me personally, it's not that. And a lot of people as well, this is one other thing I forgot to say, is about finding love. So I remember just before I met Kevin, I started seeing white feathers like in my car and like around just everywhere I went, like every shop I would go to, I'd see a white feather in there, or it was just really weird. Or I would see white feathers on things, like there would be a cleaning company on a van called the White Feathers. That's not it, by the way, I was just making that up, but just stuff like that really randomly. And then one of the big things with white feathers as well is when you see or meet up with your partner. So like for the first date, if you keep seeing white feathers after that, it's often a sign that that person is your soulmate or your twin flame. And I genuinely know that about Kevin after having my shamanic healing session. I will tell you all about that on another episode. But because of this, many people ask if finding white feathers is a sign that they will find love. It can be that, but it's genuinely when you've met someone and you're in those initial phases of just getting to know them. Definitely work through your limiting beliefs, by the way, when you meet somebody, because that can all crop up. But you have this kind of renewed energy, don't you, when you meet a new partner. But if it is your soulmate or your twin flame, as I love to call it, then finding white feathers could be the sign from the universe that your energies are coming together. And quite often you'll see a couple of feathers in one go. I remember going for a walk up the woods once and seeing, no joke, about 100 feathers. I mean, I think a bird had probably been sadly lost its life. But I remember thinking, what's that meaning? Like, that can't be good. I remember sending a picture to my husband. He's like, I think it just means it's a dead bird, babe. Like, don't look too much into that one. He knows how much I'm into this stuff. But other signs, not just feathers, there are so many other signs out there. And you can always ask for your sign as well. Mine are robins. I've got friends who have butterflies. I do see butterflies a lot, but they're definitely not my sign. I'm not connected to them. But deer as well. Oh my God, I got told once on a psychic reading that when the deer appear, the baby is near. And I remember going to hospital and on the way in a field seeing a deer. So I texted the lady who I'd had the psychic reading with when I was pregnant. And I said, oh my God, I'm definitely going to have Harley today because I've just seen the deer. And she was, oh no. She goes, no. She said, it's not when you're pregnant. She goes, it will be for your next baby. So about 6 months ago, Kev and I, all emotional. Kevin and I miscarried, which was a bit sad, but it's okay. It happens for a reason. But literally leading up to that happening, just before I got pregnant, I saw deer everywhere. So there was like a traffic jam on the way to my class in the morning at 6 o'clock. And I was just sat at this traffic lights. You know when they got random traffic lights like to do roadworks, but no one's there and there's no other cars. And you're like, shall I just go through this red light? No one will know. There's no cameras. But I sat there anyway and I just thought, just wait. Learning to be more patient in my car. And this freaking deer just like walks up the side of my car, like on the path, and then just like walks around the front. The light had gone green by this point. I was just I was like a deer in the headlights. Saw the deer. I was like, oh my God, I wonder if I'm going to have a baby soon. And then I saw these other deer everywhere. And then, yeah, sadly it wasn't meant to be. But since having another reading with this lady, she told me that there was something wrong with the little baby's hands and that my grandma was looking after the baby. So cute. But she said at Christmas time, you'll be pregnant, whether it's this Christmas or next, she didn't know, but it will be your baby girl. So manifesting the shizzle out of having a baby girl. But anyway, so when the deer appeared, the baby would be near. I haven't seen a deer for ages, but you can ask for your sign. You could even pick, okay, I'm going to pick one for you, a purple owl. Ask to see a purple owl this week. And if you see a purple owl, not owl, O-W-L, animal owl, twit-twoo, then take a picture, tag me on Instagram. I want to see your purple owls. Let's see what happens. But anytime you see an animal, like for example, in the garden in summertime, I remember kept seeing dragonflies. Oh my God, look up the meaning of dragonflies, it will blow your mind. But anytime I see particular animals, like if I see a certain animal a lot, then I'm like, I wonder what the spiritual meaning of that is. I mean, we had a bat in our bedroom once when I was pregnant. I was like 2 a.m. Kevin's like, what are you doing? Turn your phone off. I'm like, what is the spiritual meaning of a bat? That's why you should see my Google searches. It's so random. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that today and I've made you feel as light as a feather. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please hit subscribe and just give us a little liking. Add me on Instagram, tag me on Instagram. I love hearing your messages from you, and leave us a cheeky little review on here as well. And I am stood here at my desk loving standing. I definitely feel like I can breathe more while I'm talking to you. I know when I first started doing this podcast, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I kept I had a really dry mouth and not like being able to speak very well. I mean, I still have little slip-ups on here, but I definitely feel like I can talk more and move my arms around, which is great. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today and I will speak to you guys soon. Love you all. Mwah. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm sending you a huge virtual squishy hug, and I hope today's episode has helped giving you some inspiration, energy and a light bulb moment. So do share your light bulbs or any takeaways you've had on your socials and tag me in, as I absolutely love to hear from you. So if you love to share, you are going to love my giveaway. Every month I'm running a new competition to win a large moon box packed full of crystals, candles, affirmation cards, incense, my Love Yourself to the Moon and Back journal, and a real surprise of spiritual treats that change every month. So listen up if you want to win and get your hands on this, because all you have to do is, number 1, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Number 2, tag me on your socials with either a post, video or story of your top takeaway of that specific episode. Be sure to tag me in as @RebeccaWellstead-Green so that I see it, and you'll be entered into my free prize draw. So from my heart to yours, lots of love to the moon and back. Have a fabulous week, beautiful, and I can't wait to spend time with you again next week. Mwah!